Today, I want to take the unpopular path, the violence, and take the violence to State House. I want to remind William Ruto that Kenya Kwanza campaigned on a platform, or rather campaigned on some rider, that never again shall corruption be weaponized against political opponents. That was one. Number two, when William Ruto was asked, what is your blueprint on fighting corruption? There's some things he said. And he said 2 or 3 things, if I remember, if I can get to that. Number one was that because the judiciary was being remote controlled from the State House, and that the criminal, not the justice system, had been flawed to serve a political purpose, he said he will do 2 things. The first one is that I will add the capitation on the judiciary. I think they were promised some 5 billion, I think, per year, addition every financial year. That money will be given to them. And you can remember the bromance between William Ruto and Martha Koome some 15 months ago, at the time they had been announced as the president. And he said, I will give them money and they will be independent. Never again will I call them, so that they can be independent. That was the first. The second thing William Ruto said is that I will also give financial independence to the National Police, that is under the Inspector General's office, so that it can also be an independent office that will not be remote controlled from the State House, as Uhuru Kenyatta used to do. Those were, and I remember Rigathi even saying that the era of arresting governors carelessly should not continue, should be a thing of the past. That during their regime, they don't want, if a governor to be arrested, need to go and someone say take till with him, and that's that which he said. And according to him, and I want to remind Mr. President, according to what you said, is that the fight against corruption had to be removed completely from the office, the executive office of the president. Too fast, just 15 months into office, things have changed. And even despite of financial autonomy to the 2 institutions, we are seeing a probability or a rollback of executive meddling, or going back, trying to issue orders or trying to prefect the judiciary. And I know this issue has been analyzed for long by many analysts, and that's why I'm giving it a different twist. I'm giving it a different turn. So what has caused the transition? Because it seems to have happened so fast. We were not supposed to control the judges. If litigants have gone to court, they've gone there and they've sued governments on some policies. And after suing government on policy A or B, we are demanding that the public interest prevail and the legal question be buried under the water. We are asking how insensitive can judges be that they allegedly want to, give some judgment on a project that is giving people, some Kenyans, and is giving some people business, houses, enterprise. So there is an attempt that, and I remember, I think yesterday there was another speech where the president was saying the fight against corruption will cut across government. Want to fight corruption in executive, in parliament, in judiciary. I don't know how. And so that is why I'm asking you, what has caused, why do you think this issue about judges and judiciary, it has now been turned as a fight against corruption? The same courts and the same judges that we are vilifying on handling cases on affordable housing, and we are asking them to pass judgment on public interests and bury the legal implications of those policies, are the same judges that are supposed to hear corruption cases. On one end, you want a judge. Look at public interest. Forget about that law. That policy is good. People want jobs. People want houses. Stop telling us it is illegal. Stop telling us this is this. But that is on one end. On the other end, you want the same judge to hear a corruption case where some procurement officer has flawed the procurement process and government has lost money. Are you seeing the parochial hypocrisy there? Are we seeing that level of political hypocrisy? In fact, it is a governance suicide that Ruto is committing. He's committing a suicide. He's committing a suicide because he's running away from what he had agreed. And I know someone asked me about, Kevin, what about this? What are you seeing? Things seems to have changed so fast. I saw someone saying, corridors, that the reason why Ruto is dropping, Martha Koome is because he wants to achieve something. He wants to achieve weak courts. Weak courts. Imagine, I want to tell you why this is a disaster, and this is a very wrong place to be. I wish advisors will come out and tell Mr. President, you are getting it wrong. There are some 4 probabilities. There are some 4 outcomes of that scenario of complacent judges. You know, that's what we are. We are creating a breed of complacent judges. We are creating a precedence that even as you hear cases, can you listen to the public interest and can you listen to the public interest and forget about the legal aspect? You know, number one, Ruto is going to lose big time because the judiciary might drop the ball on corruption. Yes. The same way government is pushing its way to get freedom and leniency, you know, they're seeking some leniency in the courts using public interest. We are creating a precedence that judges will say, okay, if this is what Ruto administration wants, then it's fine. We'll help him play the game. After 1 month, you'll hear of a huge corruption case in a ministry. Someone petitions, parliament conducts investigation. Some few people are linked, they are arrested, taken to court. And after they're taken to court, the judges become complicit. They're released on bail, the cases drag, and you know, I wish you would accept to lose honorably in the courts. The same way you won in the courts honorably in 2022. Accept to lose honorably in the same court, so that the court will also see you as a fair man. And what I am seeing, the danger of this, what he wants actually, he is coming out to come up with a ring of very complacent judges who just dance to the tune. And you'll be wondering, why are they getting their way? Are they getting their way? So that's a wrong ground. And that is why I feel that the judges that we are cracking, allegedly conducting that crackdown and allegedly pushing that, is going to give us a wrong take. Number two, there is a very clear point that as we make the U-turn, as the executive dips its hand in the judiciary, dip the same way they've dipped their hand in the treasury, they're dipping their hand in the judiciary. President is dipping his hand in the judiciary. He's creating a ground for people around him to actually derail the agenda, because no one will. It's going to derail the agenda. You know why? A ministry or some minister will just come up with something, says, this is public interest, this is good, we must. And the courts will just be waiting, just looking. Even the litigants will be like, okay, fine, let's allow him, let's give him his poison. They'll give you a poison because you don't want to be questioned on whether this policy is legally right or legally wrong. And you know, there is the question of legal and the question of economy. Even if it is in the interest of the economy, how noble is it? It is in the interest of the economy, it must be within the legal presence. If it is illegal, then however good it is, it lacks, it doesn't meet the threshold of it being perfect. So you cannot take that. You cannot bury that. So that is the third, that is the second one. Now, the third aspect, the third observation I'm making, where the executive is dipping his hands and trying to go to those judges and that. And in fact, there is a target of judges. There is a possibility that when Ruto appointed 12 judges the first day in office, he said that that is one way to show that he respects the rule of law. That's one way to ensure that judiciary is not incapacitated. And the other way, probably the thinking was he was trying to endear himself to the courts. Like he's one of our own. He's considering he's working for us. He was trying to endear himself. But despite of that, because that's just one of the reasons why the judges were appointed without question, even though Uhuru Kenyatta had questioned, is because someone wanted to show, look here, we know what we are doing and they are right. So it's not a good precedent why he's dipping his hands and is actually swallowing his own words. He said, I will not, I will never, but he's going there. He is actually being there. Number 4, and this is one of the reasons why he's also pushing on that, is realized that opposition is relentless and can actually be able to get their way to defame, smear the government by exposing the errors. Ladies and gentlemen, tell me, and I want you to think around it. Ruto promised that the best way to fight corruption is not what Uhuru used to do, according to him, which was to, deal with judges here, remote control, call police, go and arrest person X, cases are not investigated, all those. that himself was to give them financial independence so that they are independent, and with that they can try the cases fairly. Now, himself has gone there. And there is another story that I think was captured saying that Kenya Kwanza is the first regime that in the first 15 months have many cases against it. So many people are filing cases against the government. Ladies and gentlemen, that's my end. Let's meet in the next.